in a video today, which is completely slanderous and defamatory. We're going to go into that. But first, I want to thank specifically the police here tonight. Windows that the terrorists did outside to try to come in. People had things thrown at them. The place was spray painted, not just throughout the week, but also tonight. And the fact that this event is allowed to go on is a testament to the terrorists that we are not going to put up with force of trying to shut down people you don't like, and instead, we are going to have a free society based on speech, based on dialogue, based on discourse, and tonight is a statement to them that they're the losers and that speech wins in America. That's what tonight is. Now, I have to talk about this Sacramento Bee story. You guys fans of Sacramento Bee around here?
No.
No thanks.
You write about me all the time.
So this writer, I don't know if she's an expert or not, she's a total liar. Hannah Holzer is hilarious. She says here, first she says, another fascist speaker is coming to UC Davis. How should the community respond? Opinion, the Sacramento Bee. So, fascist speaker, I don't know who she's talking about, because tonight you're going to see that anyone who disagrees with me tonight is not just allowed, but is encouraged to go ask the question. I would be the worst fascist in the history of government if you allow people that disagree with you to go to the front of the line and challenge you with an open mic. I don't know who she's talking about. You know who the fascists are? The people outside using violence to try to shut us up. Those are the violent. Those are the fascists. So, Hannah Holzer writes this to the Sacramento Bee. And this is, look, I get lied about all the time, and the result is death threats and violence and all that. I can deal with it. What bothers me, though, is every so often, one of you have to be the recipient of this propaganda campaign. And you don't have a platform like I do. You don't have a podcast like I do to be able to punch back and actually set the record straight. They come after people that aren't as big or as strong as the newspapers are, and they try to crush you. And in fact, they do this to try to chill all your speech at your workplace, in your family, to try to make a public example. And it is flat out loud. So, Hannah Holzer writes in the Sacramento Bee. She writes a lot of stuff. But one paragraph in particular. She says this: Kirk has called for the lynching of trans people. A comment, this is the Sacramento Bee, a comment that is beneath contempt. That is a lie. I have never done that. I have never thought that. There was zero evidence of that. In fact, it originated by some Twitter account, by some trans activists, that saw a segment of mine where I said, quote, in the 50s or 60s, we would not have put up with men going into female locker rooms. That was the quote, by the way. It's totally true, because the district attorney would have arrested men going into female locker rooms for being a pervert. And I said that. She said, Charlie Kirk is calling for the lynching of trans people. I've never said it. I've never alluded to it. In fact, I've always been clear about peaceful activism. But instead, the Sacramento Bee writes this. The Sacramento Bee publishes this. And if they can do it to me, they're going to do it to all of you. They're going to do this to every single good, God-loving patriot in this country to try to smear you and slander you. Frankly, as a UCB alum, I have little confidence in the ability of UCB to keep the peace. Is that a threat? Apparently it is. So they lied about me, and then they're surprised. Well, I don't know why there's all this violence happening everywhere. It's just people can't control themselves. How about you stop lying about the speaker that's coming on your college campus, Sacramento Bee? How about you stop smearing this? She continues by reflecting on, she says, my overwhelming inclination is to demand UC Davis to get ahead of the situation and uninvite Kirk, but there's no legal basis for doing so. Praise God for our founding fathers that made the First Amendment in this country, that people like Hannah Holzer. She continues to say that, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk has a right to speak, and the Davis community has a right to show him he's not welcome. So again, I've never, ever, ever said anything to even allude to the violence against trans people or any people. In fact, I do over 1,000 hours of radio every single year. I give public speeches where everything I say is filmed. Find one sentence where I've ever advocated for anything violent. You won't find it. If it was there, they would have run with it, and that's the tell. She doesn't even cite her source. She just makes it up. But these lies are not innocent. Here's what ends up happening. So then the chancellor of your school ends up doing a video saying the exact same lie. Watch this video of the chancellor of this university parroting this material falsehood about something I did not say. I didn't get close to saying, watch this video, Gary.
Not 34.
Many of you have reached out to me and others regarding tonight's event organized by the registered student organization Turning Point USA, TPUSA, at UC Davis. Thank you for sharing your distress at a student group hosting a speaker who is a well-documented proponent of misinformation and hate, and who has advocated for violence against transgender individuals.
That is a lie.
Policy, campuses may not prohibit student organizations such as TPUSA from inviting these speakers, even if the speaker's intended speech is loathsome and hurtful to me and to others on the campus community. With respect to concerns related to libels, UC policy permits denial of this request if the speaker will present a clear and present danger to the campus.
That's a
Council
correct
also
testimony.
means that there is a similarly heavy burden of criminal prosecution for incitement of violence. Please be assured that we are monitoring the event closely to determine if a threat or incitement develops that meets that threshold. We can't control how these groups operate, but we can work together to neutralize and negate their influence. So having to speak to an empty room would make a powerful statement.
Looks like the room is not so empty, Gary May. Sorry, you failed me. And it's, I want to focus, so not only did he lie about me, but then he also said, well, you know, it would be something if the room isn't filled. Saying that he actually has a bias towards what he wants to have happen tonight. But here's what I want to just emphasize the most. This is not some sort of deranged professor. This is someone in a leadership position earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that has a duty to you, the students. And here's my question for Gary May. Will he condemn the fact that windows were broken tonight and that people have been arrested for their violence? Because he's so worried about violence. And then he keeps his parents alive. Our country is broken right now. And it's broken largely in part because you have people in leadership positions that are more worried about stoking the sensitivities and feelings of Antifa outside than actually a commitment to the truth. You know what he should have said? I don't care that I really about me that he doesn't like my views. I don't exactly go out of my way to try to win the opinions of chancellors of University of California University. Not exactly why I do that, right? Instead, you're going to say, you know what? Charlie Kirk has views I don't share. But also it's important that those of you know that there's a lie being started about Charlie Kirk, that he is saying that there should be violence against trans people. Instead, he's inciting it. He wants to talk about incitement of violence. That right there is an incitement of violence.
Right.
And they're just, oh, well, are you watching this speech very closely? I hope you watch this speech closely. You know what you'll find? You'll find that the disagreements, again, go to the front of the line. You'll find a call for peace and harmony to try to be able to remedy our differences and divisions in America through dialogue and discourse. Because America can go one of two ways. We can go a totalitarian way, where we go back to street mob justice, or we can stay on the path that our founding fathers set before us, where if we have differences, we have debate, we have dialogue, we're able to actually figure out if we have anything in common at all. Speech is a massive moral advancement. We are speaking beings, and that's why the founding fathers put the First Amendment right front and center. The ability to challenge your government, the ability to speak, the ability to petition your government for rights and redresses and grievances. And leaders have a moral obligation to tell the truth, and they also have an obligation for charge of school. Why don't you lead your students towards virtuous action, not try to put them away in a direction that is altogether against the values that made America the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. So I actually, a week ago you said, oh, Charlie, we didn't speak about you. I don't know, but isn't this an example of how derailed our country is?
Yes.
Where I'm coming to a college campus where we need 100 police officers and SWAT teams to prevent from the breaking in of windows. Some of you sent me messages, Charlie, I'm fearful for my safety to come here tonight. And that's exactly what they want.
Exactly.
They want to try to intimidate you. They want to try to make you cower in fear.
Right.
This is exactly why they've been doing this in every single fashion. They're doing it in the streets. They're trying to do it in the banking system. They're trying to do this on social media. And guess what? If they didn't fear our ideas, they would not have to act like gangsters. They know that our ideas are popular, and here, what are we doing tonight? 90 minutes? The professors at this school get 4 years of uninterrupted indoctrination. I asked for 90 minutes. That's how you know what we're about to share tonight probably has a lot of truth in it. That 90 minutes of truth can derail and in fact reverse 4 years of indoctrination. I want to get to some questions, but I do want to just reiterate and thank that I get to do this. Our Turning Point USA students, these are the heroes, everybody. What they go through on a daily basis is unbelievable. Their personal information gets doxxed, their private information gets made public, they are the recipient of threats, physical intimidation, and they're doing it as a way to try to chill speech and try to chill conservative activism. I'm inspired by how many young people know the cost. They know how hard it is to put an event like this. They know what they're going to have to encounter, and they do it anyway. And they say, you know what, my country is worth it. You know, my grandfather's going to TV. I'm going to go start with exactly the same thing. It's a lot easier, right? But it goes to show that the very same totalitarianism that so many of you have always been afraid to come to our shores, it's here now. The very same totalitarianism of street justice and intimidation, of having to deploy, you know, look, as a barricade, I don't want to be this far away from you guys, I'd rather be right up there. As if, you know, this is some sort of, you know, massive UFC fight or something, and someone's gonna take some sort of wrestling here.
Right.
Here's the other thing. Somebody said, well, Charlie, why do you want to go to UC Davis so bad? First of all, our beautiful chapter invited us, and I want to honor that. Number two, I hope to be able to have disagreement about the consensus ideas that are prevailing in these college campuses. I want to talk about, you know, why critical theory is an awful and bad idea. I want to talk about how wokeism is a mind virus destroying our country. I want to talk about how there are two genders, period. I want to talk about how the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. I want to talk about how this country is not just the greatest country ever to exist, but we're so close to losing it, what we can do to try to reverse it. I want to talk about all those different things. But the third reason why I'm here, and it's very important, is I want to remind the people that think they dominate us conservatives that they don't. I want to remind you, there's actually a lot more of us. That there's people that look at the world through a rational, reasonable, center-right worldview. That there are people that you might never have known that actually believe in eternal wisdom and eternal truths, and allowing this country to continue to go hopefully on a path of prosperity and flourish. And they win when we silence ourselves. I am a big, let me just put it this way. You know, I just got an update from the team, by the way. The Sacramento Bee, some interesting coincidence. They took down the original article and corrected the link. Too little too late to do actually in some ways. But they still call me a fascist, which there is no evidence whatsoever. But the damage is already done. By the way, do you know why that happened? Because they got a very strongly worded from our legal department.
Not gonna happen.
So many others.
Trying, Charlie.
That Kyle Rittenhouse and many others. But I want all of you to know that yes, it's hard in California, and I feel as if you're outnumbered. But the totalitarians and the tyrants are the most volatile when all of a sudden they realize they can't break your will, they can't break your resolve, they can't break your commitment to the truth, and that they might outnumber you for the time being, but you're going to show that we only get stronger the more they resort to these type of tactics. That we're going to keep on showing up at these events, that we're going to keep on leaning in, that we're going to keep on running for local office,
There you go.
that we're going to keep up our prayer meetings, that we're going to keep on homeschooling our kids, that we're going to keep on pressuring our
Tim, I'm doing all that.
that it is an attitude of
He's describing me.
what they do to us, that we are going to get stronger,
Yep.
not weak.
That's
If you
right.
want a sign of hope, I'll give you a sign of hope.
Jeff
A
Barrett.
sign of hope is that conservatives at every single turn have to justify their positions. Why do you believe that? You're a racist, you're a bigot, you're this, you're that. You get tougher when you have to do that.
That's right.
You get tougher when you have to debate and you have to defend your positions. At every turn,
That's right.
the left is weak. They're weak and they are fragile.
Amen.
Weak, fragile people try to prevent other people from speaking. Conservative students roll their eyes and are like, well, that's kind of a weird idea. and they would take the opportunity to go to the open mic and challenge the speaker. The future of America rests solely on if the conservative movement will continue to expand and refuse to surrender to these sort of quasi-terroristic tactics that are being used. And so tonight is a statement in that more ways than one, and I'm very pleased to be able that this event was not canceled, and it shows that not only are they personal losers, but they lost tonight, and that is something I'm very, very thrilled with. And I want to reiterate a couple things. This is a largely favorable audience. A lot of conservatives here, a lot of people that agree with me. If somebody, this is again, Sacramento Bee, I hope you're taking notes. If somebody comes up and you find something objectionable, or you find something disagreeable, do not interrupt them or boo them. Instead, welcome the disagreement to come so we can have dialogue. Even if you find the ideas to kind of be, oh, that's so silly, allow people that disagree a chance to tell us what they believe and why they believe it. We need to show the world the left is what happens in the streets. The left lies like the chancellor. We have real free speech here in this room, and we're going to show that tonight for the remainder of the evening. So please feel free to line up. If you disagree, you're allowed to go to the front of the line. And I look forward to speaking with you and we'll go for those couple questions.
Here he comes.
Hi, Charlie. My name is Veronica. My question is this: for folks who are wanting to try to rebuild their relationship with their families and peers, those of whom which they may not be able to disagree with politically speaking, and how can they establish a dialogue and conversation and being able to talk about anything like politics, voted, or even without feeling like they feel they're going to have to enforce it?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, for family members especially, or yeah.
Especially, yes.
Yeah, so look, this is a tough thing, right? Let's first talk about your parents, about your parents. I'm a big believer in the biblical commandment of honoring your mother and father. 99.9% of people in this room have no excuse not to honor your parents. I don't care if they don't share their politics. I don't care if they were nasty to you, if they were legitimately abusive in a very serious way, then yes. Okay? But 99% of the time people say, well, I just don't get along with them. I don't like them. If you cannot honor your parents here on earth, then you will not be able to honor the eternal and divine Father, of which is much more important, by the way. It is a step intermediary to that. Secondly, honoring your parents. It is the only one of the 10 commandments that involves your nation and a province. Honor your mother and father so that you may live long in the land in which you are in. One of the reasons why America is falling apart is because we have decided to break this commandment and we are teaching children to no longer honor their parents. A nation that no longer honors their parents, you have a bunch of 17-year-olds that think their parents are dumb and stupid and they do what they think is right in their own eyes. That creates a morally chaotic, miserable country very quickly. So I just talk about that on parents. Do everything you possibly can to not allow divisive politics or different ideas to get in the way of your family relationships or your close relationships. You need to do that. Now, how many people here have family or close friends on the left that will talk to you because your politics raise your hand? A lot of hands go up. That's unfortunate, that's tragic. Never do that with others. You as a conservative have a moral obligation even keep a relationship neutral or warm in one way, despite the difference in worldview. A worldview is not an excuse to sever a relationship. They might do that to you. You should never do that to them. That is cruel, it is wrong, and it only further divides America. Okay? If they do that to you, ask them to reconsider and try to find common values. I know it happens very often. I do not like when people say, well, I'm a conservative father and I refuse to talk to my daughter because she's a liberal. You have a moral obligation to stay in touch with your child, to be truthful to your child. Don't change your views. Be very honest about how you think they have erred in their step. But the left or the people that wish to divide the country love nothing more than to create silence between family members that have shared experience and bonds just because they have different worldviews. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey Charlie, as the Vice President of the Turning Point Chapter at Sacramento State University and Rival Teams Davis, I'd like to just thank you real quick for creating an organization that has enriched knowledge and experience greatly. Thank you. So, a quick anecdote, I don't make it very brief, but I am a 7-year veteran of academic speech debate in high school and college. I have competed at a high level. In fact, last year I was top 30 country at my event, but it is so entrenched by the laws from around for piece of evidence from Dr. Jordan Peterson. So, my question to you is, how do we start to take academia back? What is the best route to achieve that?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for the enthusiasm. The fact that Turning Point USA has positively impacted your life makes the last decade of work worth it. So thank you. That touches me. And for those that support Turning Point USA, you're changing lives every single day. Secondly, to take academia back, look, I'm not convinced it's possible in certain areas. I think we have to build new colleges and new institutions. Jordan is doing that with the University of Austin and many other places. But you have to do what we're doing here tonight. You have to try to show up, start Turning Point USA groups. In California, it's hard because the Board of Regents just, completely and totally lost and out of control. And that's just too bad. It's a shame. But look, the problem with academia is conservatives don't want to do it for good reason, and liberals just left-wingers continue to protect their own. My big fear is that this woke ideology is now infiltrating the social sciences. It's also infiltrating engineering and mathematics. The things that you thought would be immune to the kind of racial preference, worldview, is now totally and completely infiltrated. And so I wrote a whole book called The College Scam. So I'm not exactly big on saving higher education, but I do think there is a place for higher education. And it pains me because I go and I visit Hillsdale College quite often. Hillsdale College is America's greatest college, by the way. They do a fabulous job. And it pains me because I see how good education could be. I sit on these classes at Hillsdale College and they're studying Aristotle's ethics. They're studying Augustine. They're studying the Summa Theologica by Aquinas. Now, I'll just venture a guess that many of you have probably not spent more than maybe a week or a month or a semester thinking about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle that they have offered. If you guys are, then I'll stand corrected on it. We're talking about why Western civilization is the greatest, the most excellent experiment in self-government in human history. Why is that the case, right? And so education can be good. The problem, and there is a place for students to learn classically and read the great books and to have dialogue and discussion. That's not what's happening on university campuses. Instead, you get a steady diet of Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi and of Gene Stefanik and of Intro to Critical Race Theory and Herbert Marcuse and Michel Foucault and Jacques Derrida and postmodernism and post-structuralism, that really these ideas could be entertaining for a short while. It's a really bad idea to build a worldview around them. In fact, it's a great way to burn everything around you if you actually do that. So how do we reclaim it? I think it's time to support the good institutions and build new ones, and then get out of the ones that are captured by the ideologues. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Kirk. I'm Aaron, and I'm a student here. I want to start off by saying I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to discuss these issues with you. And I want to say that though we're doing super greatly, I still think it's awesome to be able to converse with you respectfully. For anyone recording me, please put me in an SJW cringe compilation. That's part of my job. Oh, but here's what I want to ask about. Trans youth experience extremely high suicide rates, and trans youth who transition receive hormone therapy or surgery have significantly decreased rates of suicide, according to the studies by Turban et al. And Almazan, Robian et al. In fact, the effect becomes stronger the earlier you receive surgery or hormone therapy, according to the same studies. Additionally, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders suggests treating gender dysphoria with transition, hormone therapy, or surgery. So I guess just from a purely practical standpoint, regardless of political belief or what you think about trans people, wouldn't it be a good thing to allow access to these surgeries? Just sort of curious.
Sure, let me first ask you a question. Why was there not a trans suicide issue in the 90s?
I'm sure that there wasn't. It's very possible that the publicization and destigmatization of transgenderism now is making it so that people who might have sure suicide.
Yes. So the one thing we can agree on is people need help, right? I think the best way to help somebody that's suffering under a delusion is cognitive-based therapy and non-chemical, non-pharmacological interventions.
For real.
I agree. To be able to have counseling therapy. For example, if the girl's 11 years old and she's experiencing puberty, or her father's not around, and she might think she's a boy, wouldn't it be more loving to say, hey, let's go through some therapy to actually get you back into alignment with biological reality, not put you on Lupron or chemical castration or irreversible surgical methods? That would probably be rational, right?
I think that if it were possible to reduce these feelings by, I guess, cognitive behavioral therapy and things like that, I would definitely, that would be great. But I guess research also shows that rejecting gender identity in youth typically also increases suicide rate.
So let me ask you another question. Do you think that people that are suffering from the mental delusion of transgenderism might have other underlying mental health issues?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, so it's not fair necessarily to connect transgenderism to suicide. It might be somebody that's suffering under gender dysphoria and also heavy dose of depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, bipolar disorder, right?
Yeah, I guess, but just empirically, allowing access to trans or gender-affirming surgery does reduce that.
Not necessarily. So after 6 years, there's a big thing called transition regret. We know 35,000 young people that are now vocally saying they regret medically mutilating themselves. And there is no reverse switch on that.
Nope.
So again, wouldn't it be rational to do what is reversible, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, not what is irreversible to a 12-year-old that might be going through a temporary puberty-driven crisis? Wouldn't that be a more loving,
Yes.
rational way of going about it? Because what we have now is a boom industry of quote-unquote gender-affirming care clinics and pediatric gender clinics for 12, 13, and 14-year-olds, some of which, by the way, do not require parental consent, of a 13-year-old that might make a mistake. And I think you would agree, you made mistakes when you were 13 years old, right? Of course. Yeah, so shouldn't we have a healthcare system and laws that reflect trying to protect
Keep you safe.
the innocence of a 13-year-old, not trying to incentivize their mistakes where they can reverse that decision later in life?
Yeah, but that's not what I think. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't agree.
But at the same time, there are also like hundreds of thousands of people who don't regret this.
He doesn't have kids. He's never been
I
married.
guess.
He has no idea
So then
what
maybe
kids
it's
are
ways
like.
of every two. I think that's the whole crux of this, right? So you got 12, 13, 14, 15, and then I've got a separate moral question on that, right? Even when they're 18, but we're focusing on the pediatric.
SWAT teams getting
element,
ready
right?
every fucking
Which I
door,
think is
bro.
important.
It's gonna
Let
be
me just
crazy.
reemphasize this, which I think
It's gonna be
is the
crazy.
question. Let me actually ask you, is there an age that's too young in your opinion? If a 6-year-old says, I
garage
don't know
covered in
what you
face.
think might be too young
And
for
mace
surgery.
everybody.
You know, I think it's important for me to admit that I don't really know, but I do think.
But I am a voter.
Okay, but you would probably say 6-year-old too much, right?
I honestly wouldn't know. I wouldn't say one or the other, but I would say that, I guess, over 18, how do we say? What do
Okay,
you
so let's close every pediatric gender clinic in America.
Yes. Yes. He agrees! Yay! We got him to agree!
I think we found agreement.
He's like, sorry?
I don't really know either way on that. I guess over 18.
Just here to argue, dude.
The debate in America today is focused on children. Teenagers make mistakes. Teenagers go through identity crisis. Teenagers are susceptible to social contagions. Teenagers are susceptible to peer pressure or for other influences. And the laws and the culture should reflect, let's say, an atmosphere that respects the innocence of the child and says once you are of adulthood, you have certain agency and ability. I might disagree with that. But I don't want to live in a country where an 11-year-old might be misled by a gender psychiatrist, has their breast chopped off, and wants to have that reversed in 8 years. I don't think that is loving. I think that's cruel.
I guess I still raise the issue of, in total, the number of people who are committing suicide would probably be reduced if we allowed these surgeries.
Not necessarily. So in the short term, yes, you can administer testosterone replacement therapy. You get a boost in self-esteem,